Okay, now it's time to put the guidelines onto my ball that's just pin marked right now. I'm going to use black pearl cotton to show you how to mark this. I've got a needle threaded, still attached to the spool. Enter at the North Pole, come up a couple of inches away. I'm going to slide the needle off the thread and tie a knot in the end. Clip the tail very short. Now from the spool I'm going to pull it so that the knot just pops down onto the surface of the ball. Now it's time to wrap my vertical guidelines. This is where I like to use my little temari chant, so I'm going to say right of the equator, right of the South Pole, left of the equator, left of the North Pole, pivot. So right, right, left, left, and pivot. Right, right, left, left, pivot. Right, right, left, left, pivot. Right, right, left, left. Now that completes the wraps, but I like to tack as I go, so I'm going to back up. Here's my South Pole. I want to pull off enough threads for the rest of this marking task here and thread a needle. So I'm cutting a nice long length. I need to thread a needle, so I'm going to stick it in the ball there. Try to hold the thread here so it doesn't get slack. I like to keep the guidelines nice and tight. And it can be a little tricky threading a needle. There we go. So here I am at the South Pole ready to tack it. This is very thick thread, so I don't want to tack across each of these intersections. I'd get a really bulky South Pole, so I'm just going to tack around through a couple of them. I'm just going to see how it looks as I go. Take probably 2 or 3 stitches. And the last stitch I want to come up on the other side so I can continue my wrapping the vertical guideline. Okay, that looks good. So, the left of the equator pin, here the North Pole. I want to take a couple of stitches around all of these threads. I'm working right next to the North Pole pin so that my stitches are very close to it. Maybe just one more. Okay, and now I want to stitch down to the equator. I can't make it in one pass, the needle won't reach, so I'm going to stitch part way and come up. I'm going to go down in the same spot, come up right next to an equator pin. Pull that. There's a little hole there. I can just adjust the threads, slide them around so you can't see the black thread at all. Okay, wrap my equator straight around the ball. And the last thing I have to do is tack these intersections at the red pins. And as I go, I'll pull out the pin where I've just tacked. I'm doing just one diagonal stitch backwards, stitch underground, and come up at the next pin. So I'm stitching diagonally backwards. That's plenty to hold these in place. Almost done. To finish, just tug on this thread a little bit, clip it off right by the surface of the ball. You might tuck it down under. Pull the threads around so you don't see it. Okay, so this ball is all marked, ready to stitch. I usually leave the North Pole pin in place. You can remove the South Pole pin. Looking good.